roll.
Karen Wolford.
Here.
Bob Levine. Here. Rick Flynn.
Here.
Walt Hayes.
Here.
David Fire.
Here.
Bob McAfee.
Here.
Ladonna Allen.
Here.
Roger Spencer.
Here.
We all please stand and join me in our pledge of allegiance and invocation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you pray with me? Gracious God, as we come to you this day to begin another session of the Carl Junction Board of Alderman, we ask that you impart upon us your wisdom and your guidance so that we may promote justice, assist those in need, and provide for the overall well-being of the citizens of Carl Junction. Lord, we just ask tonight for a special grace and comfort and protection for our community, our school leaders, and just the students at large. Father, we ask this all in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Rick. Next is approval of the agenda. Any comments or corrections to the agenda?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Rick Flynn to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 8 in the affirmative, no, not against. That's it. Next is approval of the consent agenda. It's approval of the minutes of the previous meeting on January the 7th and approval of disbursements. Any comments or corrections to the consent agenda?
I got one question. What's Vanco Payment Solutions?
They are the company that if you go online and pay through your bank, they process that for us.
Oh, the wireless.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I had. Motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Holly Levine, second by David Butler to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 8 in the affirmative, the consent agenda is approved. Next is public forum. Anyone wishing to speak at public forum? If you do, come out, I'll read this. And you can come up. Yes, I've got your timer here, so be careful. All persons wishing to speak to the mayor and board of aldermen during the public comment portion of the meeting should come forward one at a time and stand at the podium, then state your name and address and the subject matter you wish to comment upon. All comments should be directed to the mayor in a civil manner. Comments are limited to 5 minutes unless the mayor or board of aldermen grants additional time. It is the mayor's responsibility to maintain certain these rules are followed and to maintain order and decorum. If you have a question, the mayor and board of aldermen may of course provide an immediate response. However, the mayor and board of aldermen may also provide no response or a response at a later time as they deem appropriate. You're on, Bill.
Don't turn it yet. My name is Bill McGuire. I live in Ward 911 Monroe Circle. And I don't know, it just hit me 2 or 3 weeks ago. I started thinking about what we've gone through in here. Started some policies. And they just seem to have gone in the back of the closet. And the specific one is economic development. It's going to be about a year, probably more than that, since we got on hold of the retail strategies and gave $50,000 for the first year. And I don't know if we're going into the second year yet or not, have we? Because that's a $40,000 tab. It's going to be that way. Now, we can reject it, as I remember, if they haven't made any progress.
I have not received a second invoice.
Okay. I've been in communication with them. It has been difficult for me to give updates because the updates that they give me deal with specific businesses that don't want their name out there, that they are considering a deal here. So that's been, the biggest challenge, providing updates. Obviously, we haven't got a lot of businesses to town. There are a lot of businesses they're talking to and in the works with, but nothing really concrete has come from that so far.
Well, for $50,000, I think we should have some information from them direct board, the council. If not, we're just throwing the money down the drain. And I'd take it on for $50,000 per year. But I don't know what they've done to
Right,
prove their worth.
right.
As far as I'm concerned, what little I see, and I don't get much of it except the citizen newspaper, but, we just have stagnated there. They're not doing anything. that's our life spread right there. We can do a lot of things in this world without committees and meetings, and strategies, but I tell you, economic development is threshold and our survival without it. We all know we don't have the land, but have we gone out and tried to buy some? And we have looked at leases on it. Yeah. It just seems like a mistake. To me, as one citizen, ex-council member. And I know, Mayor, before you get going, you turn that over yet?
Yeah, turn it over.
I'd appreciate it if we could get a reading from these retail strategies as to what they're actually doing and what we're getting for our money. You agree?
I agree. Holly, when you talk to them, ask them for a progress report. What's happened in the last however many months they've been doing this for us and what they've done with the $50,000.
Certainly.
Yes, sir,
May
Mr.
I
Talley.
interject? I have limited, Holly, because I responded to the question about going into closed session to talk about particular industries. And there just is no right to do that. We don't have the ability to have closed meetings and talk about potential businesses that are coming into the city. And that really does restrain her ability to report on what businesses might be interested in the city if they don't want their names out there. So.
Well, my memory isn't that good. I'm older than anybody in here. But the fact is, I thought they were going to give us updates. I mean, not once a month, once every 60 days or whatever, to get some progress. And we don't have to name, Holly Laverne's ice cream stand or something. We don't have to name that. But are we actually out there working? Are they giving us something for our money? And I, for one, would be asked the board to hold on to that last $40,000. I would put them on for another year if we haven't already done it. Have we, Elena?
No. We have not made a second interest.
And we've all seen people like this, salesman that comes to the door and sells you something. You give them a check, and you just kiss it goodbye. I think we're bigger and better than that, but we really need economic development. We all cry about it. We don't have the land. It's there. It's there to be had. And I drive by lots of places, I think, around here. I haven't gone out and knocked on doors or talked to the farmers, but, that's the only way we're going to get this thing moving. It really is. Anyway, that's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Bill.
Please get a report back to us.
Yeah.
That we're doing something.
Yeah. I guess you have the question before them, what have you done for our $50,000? And do you think we should pay you another $40,000 if you haven't done anything for us? They need to tell us what they're doing. That's my opinion. Anybody else want to comment on that? Call on anybody else? No? Anybody else, public forum? Anybody else like to speak at public forum? A lot of people out there. It's your last chance. Very well then. We'll close public forum. We'll go to P&Z cases. First is case 2407, rezoning request, special use permit 101 Cambridge by MIBSI Investments LLC. What? Public hearing. Okay. Public hearing again. Do we already have one on this or not? So this is a resumed public hearing. Okay, so I'll open a public hearing on this, and anyone liking to speak in favor of this rezoning request?
Planning and zoning did meet on this, and they are recommending a special use permit with a couple of contingencies on there. One of them be that it just runs for 1 year at this time, and then they would either have to reapply for another special use permit or rezoning, either one of those. The other was that planning and zoning wanted to see continuous improvement in the property because we all agreed at planning and zoning that the property was not good, and that it has been improved to some degree, and that it still needs a little bit of work on it. So those were the conditions that they wanted to put on.
Anything else on,
Oh, it's a firewall. There was a firewall that needed to be put in place
Right.
up in the attic.
I see that on the
Yep.
request, yeah. Anyone else like to speak in favor of this? Very well, anyone like to speak against this? Oh, did you raise your hand,
No,
Walter?
you had somebody in the audience.
Oh, let's see in favor of it.
I'm in favor of it. I'm the owner of the LLC. I was just gonna make the statement that the permit's pulled today to get the firewall put in the attic, so that way it can be taken care of, and it'll be scheduled, I think, next week to be put in.
All right, then, anybody else in favor? If not, anybody would like to speak against this permit request, special permit, use permit? No one would like to speak against it, then I will close the public hearing. And we'll go on to the next P and Z case, which is 2501, and we'll open a public hearing for this, which is ordinance amending chapter 405 fences.
Planning and zoning met on this one also, and they are recommending approval. It is, for some reason, R4 residential was missed in the fence code. So we couldn't issue any building permits for fences in an R4 area, so this will take care of that.
What's R4?
Planned unit development.
Anyone else like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Public hearing. Not, anyone like to speak against this? In the public hearing. If not, then I'll close the public hearing on case 2501. What? We sure can.
Back on the rezoning request and special use permit.
Yep.
Because that was not going to take more than a simple vote, that does not appear on the agenda again. So, since it was no more than a vote, I assumed that the vote would be held after the close of the public hearing. So if that's my mistake, but it does not reappear on the agenda, since it didn't require an ordinance or a resolution.
So at some point, whether it's now or I'm not sure if we're ready to move from what the business had been, but you need to add that to the agenda.
Or we
Consideration.
could bring it up in old business, couldn't we? Unfinished business?
Under new,
Unfinished, because we talked about it last time,
okay,
either old or new,
okay,
and have a vote on it then. That way you don't have to add it to the agenda,
okay.
right? Will you agree with that?
That would be okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'll write that down here. Okay, well now we can go to ordinances. First is an ordinance approving an agreement with Elements Construction Concepts for the West Rybrook Lane Stormwater Drainage Ditch.
If we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen and Roger Spencer to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will clerk please read the title?
In ordinance approving an agreement between the city of Carl Junction, Missouri and Elements Construction Concepts Incorporated to construct the West Briarbrook Lane Stormwater Drainage Ditch for the city of Carl Junction, Missouri, in accordance with the contract documents for the sum $168,000, providing the terms and conditions thereof, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement for and on behalf of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Discussion.
This is the DNR ARPA money, excuse me. Couldn't get that spit out. This is the first of it. This is the original one that DNR approved. DNR, we've got additional, and actually they'll come through as change orders to add the other work that they've already authorized. They want to see that in the form of a change order, but this gets it under contract for that original amount that they were going to, that it started out as. So next time you'll have some more ordinances dealing with that West Forever thing, stormwater. Engineering and then the actual construction adjustment of the fee.
Donna,
Are you the contact point? Are you the one coordinating everything with DNR on this?
Yes.
any further discussion right now?
So the change orders will still be under the DNR funds?
Yes. Yeah, they've already got it authorized for that. We just have to, we got to catch up with their authorization.
Move we put this ordinance on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Donald Allen, second by David Powell to put this ordinance on the second reading by title only. Will clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving an agreement between the city of Carl Junction, Missouri and Elements Construction Concepts Incorporated to construct the West Friarwood Plains stormwater drainage ditch for the city of Carl Junction, Missouri, in accordance with the contract documents for the sum $168,000, providing the terms and conditions thereof, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement for and on behalf of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Is there any further discussion?
Move we put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
Motion by Donald Allen, second by Rick Flynn to put this ordinance on final passage. There will be a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. If in the affirmative, please vote electronically. The ordinance passes 8 in favor, none against, and that is ordinance number.
2503.
Thank you. Next is an ordinance amending chapter 405 fences.
Move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Donald Allen, second by David Powell to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title IV Land Use, Chapter 405 Zoning Regulations, Section 405.085 Fences, to allow privacy fences in property zoned R4.
Discussion.
Move we put this ordinance on final passage? Second reading.
Second reading.
Second.
Motion by Hall Levine, second by Don Allen to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title IV Land Use, Chapter 405 Zoning Regulations, Section 405.085 Fences, to allow privacy fences in property zoned R4.
Further discussion.
Make a motion to put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
Motion by David Powell, second by Walter Hayes to put this ordinance on final passage. This will be a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. In the affirmative, please vote electronically. 8 in favor, none opposed, and that is ordinance number.
2504.
Thank you. Next is an ordinance approving an MOU with the Carl Junction Farmers Market.
Move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Walter Hayes to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding by and between the Carl Junction Farmers Market, a not-for-profit organization, and the city of Carl Junction, Missouri, providing the terms and conditions and authorizing the city administrator and/or mayor to execute said memorandum of understanding.
Discussion. Well, somebody needs to talk about it. Holly? Steve?
Yes, I gave everybody a copy of this MOU last week on the farmer's market. Just, some understanding between the two groups for who is going to provide what services and what are our individual responsibilities. I think it's a pretty straightforward agreement. If anybody has any questions, I'd love to hear them. We've also got Kimmy here and Sarah representing the farmer's market.
Any further discussion?
I think you all did a great job getting this put together, and I think it's a wonderful out here for the community.
Make a motion to put it on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Walter Hayes, second by Carol Warford to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding by and between the Carl Junction Farmers Market, a not-for-profit organization, and the city of Carl Junction, Missouri, providing the terms and conditions and authorizing the city administrator and/or mayor to execute said memorandum of understanding.
Is there any further discussion?
For the benefit of those
in attendance and the public, can you just talk a little bit about when you anticipate operating and what you think will look like?
Kenny, you want me to do it? You want to speak?
Yeah, so we have a target date, I believe it is the 27th?
April 24th.
24th, sorry. And we've had Mike Wheely and Holly out to kind of survey the pavilion that you guys are letting us use. So we got an idea of how many vendors that will have like a max capacity, because obviously we don't want to overflow it. So this year is going to be a little bit of trial and error, and I just ask for you guys' patience, and we're going to do the best we can to represent Carl Junction. And it is linked to the farmers markets help boost economic growth, so hoping that it will do that for Carl Junction.
Yeah, so we plan to start April 24th will be our opening day. It's going to be on Thursdays from April 24th through the month of October, 4 to 7 each week. It will be held at the Lakeside Pavilion at Briarbrook Park, or Lakeside Park, next to Briarbrook. Yeah, we're going to have, food vendors, veggies. We got pork. We're looking for beef, chicken, dairy. We're going to have a different food truck every week. We really think this is going to be a great resource and connection for the community. I've spoken about this before in here, that our lack of a grocery store, I think, is our biggest problem in our town. And I think this farmers market will help us be more self-sustainable in our own town. Right now we have to go outside of our borders to get food. So now we will have that option in our town for a lot of us in our neighborhood, and a healthier option where we're connecting directly with farmers and producers and growers that can tell us, these are the chemicals that are in your food. This is the process I use. This is, the best way to prepare this meal. I think it's going to be really great for our community. And I would love to answer any questions.
Is this going to interfere with Webb City's farmers market?
So they do a Thursday market, but only like a couple of times a year now. So they do Saturday is their main day, and then Tuesday. And I think this year they had like 3 or 4 Thursday markets. Okay. But that was it.
That's what I was wondering about, because
Yeah.
I think they do half a day too. It's either in the morning or an afternoon. I don't know which one this is.
I think I saw where their Thursday is moving to morning.
Oh,
It won't be in
gotcha.
the evening anymore.
Yes, we're definitely not trying to compete with anybody. This is our first year. We're getting started. We're going to see what works, what doesn't. Do people like that location? Is there another location that might be better? There's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of answers that we find over this first year.
Make a motion to put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
By David Piles, and Mary Clinton, put this ordinance on final passage. This will be a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Eight in the affirmative. Please vote electronically. 8 in the affirmative, none against. This is ordinance number
2505.
Thank you. Moving right along, go to the long-term projects report. Any questions for the city administrator? You want to talk about the Veterans Memorial?
Yep, at the last meeting, Roger asked about how much it would cost to have somebody else go ahead and finish it out for us. Ray Huber, local with KAB Electric, gave us a bid. Roger has it $2,300.
230130.
$2,301.
And Liberty is still not giving us a date or anything that they'll have it done, right?
Nope,
When was our last communication?
with Liberty last week.
What did they say at that time?
It's on the schedule.
For when?
That's all they said.
What was the holdup on that? Well, them not wanting to come out and do it right away.
The first one was because the lighting panel distribution box was hooked to their pole,
Okay.
to their wooden pole, and can't do that. Because if something would happen to the pole, they don't want it to tear that panel down at the same time. So we had to get that taken care of. I think you did, didn't you?
That's the.
Yeah, it's done.
Now, that lighting panel, that's the one that's down by the other pavilion, right? Down by the little branch there.
Right there by that pole there by the pavilion.
Well, since it was supposed to be fixed by Memorial Day last year,
Veterans Day.
Memorial Day
Memorial
first,
Yeah,
I would suggest that we go ahead and accept the bid and get it fixed and get the lighting so we can get the flags back up for the memorial like they're supposed to be.
Is this bid up for consideration right now? Or do you need approval for it since it's less than 2,500?
that's less than 25.
So it's
I really don't.
2,500, we're okay.
Yeah, a consensus on this one is fine. Everybody shake their head. Yes or no.
I'd say
If you
go
no-
for it.
If you say no, let me know why.
No, I think it needs.
I think it's been drawn out for much too long.
No.
It's been almost a year, hasn't it?
Mhm. At least, yeah, because we
Think they're
talked
the only
about
electric
getting
company in
it done.
town, wouldn't you?
Yeah. They won't let us start our own electric company, so.
I mean, I asked for this, but I'd like for everybody to give their opinion. What do you think? I mean,
I think they
I'd
just said
rather
yes.
go ahead and pay this $2,300 out and have it hooked up and going.
Yes.
I will need that copy back.
Yes,
give it to you.
we're gonna do that. Everybody,
It needs done,
Sure,
it
there
needs
is.
done before Memorial Day this year.
Okay.
That was one thing I was gonna ask you, Steve, on that. Did they, when they gave you that, did he give you a timeline?
He said he could jump on it. It'd be no problem.
Okay,
He's kind of a little bit.
The conduit's already run from the box over to it, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All you do is pull the wire,
What are they waiting on?
pull the wire and mount the lights.
I don't know, maybe we can see a
Leverage.
track of the communications.
Okay?
Anything else on this report you guys want to talk about?
I've got a question. It's not on this report, but I noticed that we spent $1,176 on the skate park. Can you tell me what that was for?
It's rebuilding the skate park. One of the kids jumped over the fence and broke it down over the years.
Okay, so where are we on our cameras? Where are we on, so I know that we've got the thing going with Mid-Central.
Waiting on their estimate to come in.
But we were going to check and try to do some other stuff short-term, because that's gonna be a large investment on the parks. Did we do anything on it?
I checked a couple of things, but they were not commercial grade
Yeah,
stuff. But I checked on it.
Well,
A
maybe
little
not
bit, but
commercial
it's-
grade, just for an interim thing.
yeah, that's
Because
what
we
I'm,
have got vandalism at the skate park, at Country Club, and at Lakeside. It's like all three of these locations have got vandalism right now. And it's like our stuff is just getting torn up.
yeah, I mean, I understand long-term we want nice, but if we could get, like say, it doesn't have to be commercial grade, if we could even get something we could wire in and it'll still load to the cloud, so.
If you guys want me to do something like that, I will. I just need everybody, I need a consensus on it if that's the way you want to go.
Well, I'd like to see some amounts. I mean, I don't wanna, I know you can spend up to so much. I don't want to hit the max to
No,
put
I
in 2
don't.
cameras
I
or
don't
something,
either.
but
What do you think the amount would be on that, Steve? Roughly.
Oh, I don't have any idea.
can we have numbers on it? We're gonna have the meeting in 2 weeks, but if we can get numbers on some of this stuff too, we're going to have the budget work session on the 8th. That would be a good time to have some on the long-term planning. Maybe so we can start plugging in some numbers and see what we can plan for this coming. But I'm with Holly, we've spent over and over and over the cost of what it'll do to put some cameras in just to fix what's getting tore up.
I also saw that we purchased a spotlight. Where did that go?
It's a hand spotlight to look down at manholes and valves, because our phones and regular spotlight, you can't see down there
Okay.
10, 20 feet.
I gotcha. So this isn't on our report either, but I'm gonna bring this up now. So every year we get like super behind on our mowing. Can we start thinking now of hiring a seasonal person for mowing and get an ad out like in March maybe for a seasonal employee? And can we get some sort of like, I don't know if we can, but some sort of agreement with MoDOT on that they're gonna mow? No. Or get it on some sort of schedule or?
Good luck.
No, we
They're
don't,
worse than Liberty.
don't laugh though, because we talked about this last summer when this happened, and you said you were going to get a hold of the contacts because other towns talked to them about their mowing schedule.
I do, I contact them when I contact them all the time about their mowing, their
Okay.
maintenance.
But not, hey, it's too tall, can you come mow it now? Can we be proactive and contact them and get on a schedule every so often?
I can ask them if they even have a schedule. I don't even know if they have a schedule. We can find out.
Last year was atrocious. I would not like a repeat of that this summer. Just looks crappy in our town.
Well, and it also impacts some of the intersections along Pennell.
Yeah.
I mean, I know most people mow their own, the right of way in front of their own, but we do have some in like around the
Yeah, we
welcome
do.
garden and
We
The
do have
track.
a few that don't.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, it's a headache.
so if we can't, because I know like Web City and some of the places, I'm sure they probably get mowed a little lot more.
My last conversation with the maintenance supervisor was, I had asked him, why are you treating us different than what you do Web City or Joplin about keeping your right-of-ways and stuff mowed and keeping it down? Said, we never see anybody on a zero turn out here, and the gutters that that they help pay for are full and are an issue, not only for stormwater, but for the MS4 permit and everything. And he wouldn't answer me. It was, I don't mean to be flip about it, but it is worse than dealing with Liberty. It's not quite as bad as dealing with the railroad, but it is, it is a pain.
Well, I would like to see us be more proactive this season.
Maybe we should mow them and send them a bill.
Oh, I even suggested that. I said, do you want us to do it? Who do I need to send the bill to? No, it's ours. You don't do that.
Well, and maybe we can just decide
Bet me.
we're not gonna take no for an answer every time or no response for an answer, and we just go up the ladder sometimes when we need to. Or, because a lot of times it seems like we just are like, oh well, and we let things go and they don't get done, or we don't collect money or one thing after another. So maybe we need to be a little more persistent. I know that's not the word you're thinking, but persistent.
All right, I got one last thing. So nothing happened at Country Club. How does that affect that money that we had allocated that ARPA money for that?
Are they going to get out there this spring and do that?
It does not affect the ARPA money because it's already been committed, which is all we had to do with the federal government, was because they had opened it up to revenue loss, which means that we were covered under. So it does not affect that. I tried twice in the past 2 weeks since the last meeting to get a hold of the contractor, and through another source, I had found out that he had been in the hospital up at KU Med.
So does that money that we allocated, does that have to go for that project now? Or could that still go for something else?
What do you think, Elena?
I knew this was gonna happen.
I've not read anything.
I have not either.
But doesn't have to be under contract by the end of December last year?
That's
Yeah, I
what
thought.
No,
No, it just had to be.
it
allocated.
just had to
We
be
had to
allocated.
know where it was going to be spent, but we didn't have to have like a contract or anything like that.
Yeah,
Okay, so if you reallocate it, that's not knowing where it's gonna be spent.
We knew where it was gonna be spent at the time.
Well, see, here's the thing, because in
The one-
October or November, I started this conversation because we knew we had a deadline at the end. And then when it went and it wasn't getting done, after we approved it in September, and then I said, can we reach out to them? Because if this doesn't get done, we have allocated this for ARPA and we need to know. And I was told it was getting done, and I was told it was getting done. And now it sounds like is he out of business? Where are we at on this? Because hindsight, I know, is 2020, but this isn't that situation. I started talking about this in October. So is he not going to be able to do it at all? I mean, is it serious health issues that he's having to
I don't
leave
know.
his
Because
business?
I haven't been able to talk to him, I can't answer those questions. All I can
It's
do
the second guy too, right?
all I can
No.
do is-
The first guy was from someplace in Kansas and never responded to us again.
That was the
No,
fence
that was
guy.
the fence.
Oh, that
This
was the
is
fence
the
guy?
dirt
Oh,
guy.
okay, the dirt guy?
That
Okay.
was given the final go-ahead October 7th.
Yep.
On a 30-day deal, and we got 70 days into a 30-day deal before we decided, hey, maybe there's a problem. So if we find somebody else to do it for that same amount,
That's not a reallocation, it's just going to somebody else.
right.
Yeah.
But everybody else was so much higher that now we'll have to add money to it. I guess we need to find out from him if he's not going to be able to do it, and then we're going to have to rebid it. But it's going to have, because it needs to get done during the spring. Because we're already 3 years into. I just wish we had done something before. Like I said, last meeting, we were at 70 days.
Sir, are there anybody else that we could ask for a bid and just see if we could get closer to the price?
Ask Mr. Talley here a question. With that length of time that LaDonna's talking about, that 70 days, should we or not should we? Do we need to go out for bids again? Or can we just move it to another contractor?
I don't think our code's gonna cover that situation.
Yes, I agree with that.
As for, do you have other bidders that didn't get the bid? I doubt if their bid would last that long, but you can always inquire.
Can we just rebid the whole thing? I don't think the bids are gonna go up from the competitors. I mean, they were already a lot higher. Maybe we'll actually get somebody that bids lower if we catch them trying to schedule stuff for this
If I
season.
remember right, we had one other bidder, and that was Elements Construction. I do not remember the dollar amount, though.
I was thinking it was like,
25?
no, a lot
A lot
higher,
higher.
a lot higher.
I don't remember.
That's why
This
I'm
is
wondering if
25.
we'll get maybe we'd get some more local people who may have been tied up at the end of the season.
But before we do go out for another bid, you're gonna have to wrap things up with the first bidder and make sure that we've given notice and opportunity for him to do whatever. And make a good record of terminating that.
Yeah, which we've done that before, which is up to the board to tell me to send him a letter saying that we're no longer going to use him.
I think at this point we need to. I mean, it's been forever.
Yeah, because like I said, that was 70
That would-
days, last meeting, or 2 meetings ago. I'd have to check back on that.
I need this to be a formal vote since you're going to be discontinuing it.
You said the guys.
What kind of written record do we have on that bid and our acceptance of that bid?
And it was during the meeting.
So
I mean, we have bid acceptance and in minutes and document.
And there was communication in the meantime.
contract
He
on it
hasn't
because
like,
he
been
was-
in the hospital.
Yeah, because he was going to
There was
bill us
communication.
post-work.
Okay.
Because he was also changing it from what was specified in the bid for the hydro seed, whatever. He was going to try to change it to the other, which also would not have met the terms of the bid. So there has been contact. I mean, he hasn't been in the hospital the whole time.
He's in the hospital now, though.
We don't know.
I don't know.
That's what
he was.
secondhand.
Oh.
I would move
I need a
that,
I need a motion and a.
I move that we notify him that we are pulling that bid from him and the acceptance of it, because he did not meet the terms.
Second.
Motion by the Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn, that we send notice to the bidder on the country club soccer fields that we're terminating his bid due to lack of performance. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 8 in the affirmative, none opposed. Send him a letter.
Go in the mail tomorrow. And then to follow that, I can dig the bid out again, and first thing I'll do is see what that other bid was, and then the other is we'll get it re-advertised.
And we're still good on the dirt, right? Okay. And we've got the right
And they've,
comment in the right place on the dirt.
they've actually got more dirt.
Just don't shoot me. Could we do it? Like, our guys? I know they probably don't want to.
It's pretty technical.
Is it? Okay.
Make the bill,
I'm just curious.
to make the drain right and everything.
Anything else? Anything else at all on the long-term project report?
No, the only thing I have is if we can get some numbers, maybe by the 8th, then we can kind of get a realistic idea of what we can do the next time.
Moving right along, we'll go to the treasurer's report. Comments about the treasurer's report?
I have a question. I know the treasurer is not here. I see the certificates of deposits that we have. Who decides when and how much of a certificate of deposit we get?
All of those have been here since before I was city clerk, so I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if that took,
I can say the exact same thing. Mary Beth always took care of those. I have no idea. And that was before I came on too. We've always had, some of those we have to have. I know one of them is the fountain, not fountain,
yes.
yeah. And,
I don't know that it took anything more than her just deciding to try and find a better way to get interest on that money for some of those accounts, having that much in there. Because I think when she did it, it was because CDs had better interest rates than our money market accounts. So I don't know that it took any sort of special, but
And
I can find out the answer.
we are restricted from certain kinds of accounts
There
though,
are,
aren't we, that
we,
are considered risk?
there are things that municipalities and the state cannot invest in.
Anything else for the treasurer's report? We'll move on to department reports. Let's see. How about Public Works? Anything for Jay?
I thought the snow removal was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We did have 5 or 6 complaints about snow removal. They all centered around the fact that they had already got their driveway pushed, and then we came through and dumped more on it.
It was so sticky. As soon
Yeah.
as they went through, it just like balled up.
It was, and there's really nothing you can do about that. Not when you got 3,000 driveways, the intersection, everything. You just, there's no way you can't put snow in somebody's driveway. It's just, the only way you could is if we get a pickup and go around and push it back out of their driveways, and that's not feasible.
Well, like Holly, I think they did an excellent job.
I agree. Anything else for Jay?
We got a new stop sign over by the church, on the driveway. I guess
Yeah, I
it's
saw that.
technically city street, but it's our driveway. Thank you.
Is it all right?
I'll remember to stop now.
That's right.
We've done that anyway.
Now you get a ticket.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very well then, we'll move along to the building inspector's report. Well, I'm gonna go to them next. Just going down from what I've got here.
Okay.
Anything, comments on the building inspector's report? Looks like there's not many inspections.
Looks like roofing's down.
Wait at, electrical beat out roofing.
Yeah. There's lots.
If not, we'll go to PD. Anything from PD?
Is the chief back on light duty?
Not yet. Maybe another 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I talked to him today about that.
Yeah.
I don't think you did you?
No.
He'll be back Monday on light duty, limited time, limited things he can do, but.
Well, that's great. We'll be glad to have him. But we like you too.
I checked on him today to see how he was doing, and he's not upset about still being off when it's this cold to get out.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, bet he misses riding that motorcycle.
He sounded really good though compared to a couple weeks ago. So.
Anything else for PD? Very well then, we'll move on to committee reports. Budget and finance.
Not a lot except a reminder, we will be doing a work session February the 8th, beginning at 8 a.m. We'll try to wrap up by noon. And hopefully we'll get some good numbers on some projects. And Elena, we're still good on being able to get everything together by then, correct?
Anything else for budget? Code and nuisance, Rick?
We had a meeting at 6:30 today and discussed updating an ordinance about farmers and business licenses, that they would not need to get a business license for the farmer's market if they were in the Missouri, state of Missouri. The committee recommended approval of that, which we'll have at the next meeting, I believe.
Very well. Anything else for code and nuisance? Human resources, Roger?
Got a closed session after the rest of the year.
Alrighty. Anything else for human resources? Public facilities, David?
No, sir.
Anything else for public facilities? Economic development, Holly?
I'm going to work on getting an update that is more public friendly from Retail Strategies for everyone, including Mr. McGuire. That's all for me.
Anything else
I was going to ask
for
you,
economic development?
is there, and there's a, I forget what the app's called that we can't remember.
Oh, base camp.
Base camp.
Yeah, well, we can look at it, but it's very confidential.
So everybody on the board can see that. And know what's
No,
happening.
only a few of us.
That's all I have.
All right, nothing else then? We'll move on to unfinished business. Carol,
No, sir.
Walter,
No, sir.
David,
I believe we've got the P and Z
good job.
case to vote on.
Yes, approve the special use permit.
Yes.
Need a motion for that?
Can we have some discussion?
Oh, sure.
During the hearing, the issue with the firewall was already addressed, that's in progress, going to be taken care of. The other elements that were included, I felt like were vague. No issues with the tenants, is open to a lot of interpretation. Continuous improvement is open to interpretation. I just don't know really what the expectation is that does or doesn't happen if that permit is issued. And if it's pulled before the year's up, if those things aren't satisfied or tended to.
I kind of agree with you, especially even on the continuous improvement thing, because, I mean, does it mean something doesn't meet code or whatever? Because otherwise, you could look at any neighbor and say, what they need to improve. What do they mean by continuous improvement? If you just don't like the color of somebody's shutters or something, you know what I mean?
There were a couple of things, the one off the top of my head that I can remember is, there needs to be some work done to the fence, because the fence is dilapidated. Got some bent top bars, and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of a couple other things that were talked about. I'm looking at Richard, since Richard was there with me too, so.
There were several things. There was a lot of feedback from the community about the appearance of the house and the property.
Right.
And the main thing that comes up lacking was the firewall in the attic. So that has to be taken care of to meet code.
Right.
After that, we made the suggestion that he also, to be a good neighbor, which we cannot control, is to do more of the cleanup, like Steve said. I think there's still stuff in the yard, even though it's been cleaned up once or twice, it still needs to be cleaned up. The owner told us that in his lease, he has a phrase, if there are police calls to this house for disturbances, your lease is up. Now, I don't know if that's enforceable or not, but apparently that addresses a problem that had been in the past on that house, where there was rowdy kids or whatever that lived there. So I agree with you, it's hard to define that, but it is, part of it is just, the code is okay, but you've got to be a good neighbor too.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, as long as it would meet the code for that, I think that's what we need to hinge a special use on, because everything else is already covered under code. Like if you have the overgrown lawn or whatever, I don't think that we can be specific and legislate being a good neighbor or stipulate something like that, because one person's opinion is another. And they may not like the look of the fence, but if it meets the code, I don't know that we could deny him a special use permit because someone across the street doesn't like the way a fence looks or something. I mean, if it's dilapidated vehicles that aren't licensed that are setting, or overgrown lawns, or that's already covered in the code. So I don't think we need to address that in the special use permit.
This is only for 12 months, right?
Yeah, but even for 12
You
months,
can-
like I said.
Which is.
So if
which
something
is-
happens, then you can address it again next year. I
Which
think that's
is
what it's
another
about. It's
thing
like a trial period.
Right, but
He's promised to do stuff.
planning and zoning
And
has
so
talked
we
about.
have to let him carry on.
I don't have I think we should approve it.
Yes,
I'm not
I
saying
do
we
too.
shouldn't. I'm saying I don't think we have the power to put in there, you have to be a good neighbor if you want this
Well, I
property.
think you're right.
Well,
I mean, that's my thing. I'm for letting him have a chance.
is a suggestion from P and Z.
Yeah.
You can approve it for however long you want to. That's at your discretion.
Those
It's
were,
not 12 months like that.
exactly, we talked about this at the P and Z meeting, that the Board of Alderman is the one that has the final say, and they can put into or remove whatever they want to. Out of that, these are just suggestions from planning and zoning. If you don't want to put those in there, don't put them in there.
Yeah. I would suggest 12 months with the firewall and the things to meet the safety code. Everything else is already covered under code. And if they violate the other nuisance codes, that's already covered.
Do they have a definition of continuous improvement?
No.
That's pretty, like they said, they.
And this came to us originally as a rezoning request.
Right.
That we didn't act on and went back to P and Z. Now it comes back as
Special use.
special use. Will we ever reconsider the
Yeah.
rezoning
In
request?
12 months, we could.
Yeah.
12 months, we go back and rezone it.
In 12 months, he can either, the owner of the property, he can either apply for an extension of the special use permit, or he can apply for rezoning,
Rezoning, yeah.
either one.
I don't think the property fit the criteria to change zoning in the first place. So I think the special use permit is just kind of like condoning those actions, that the property was turned multifamily when it wasn't supposed to. So I'm not really on board with it.
Make a motion, and that's where it's at. Make a motion to approve the special use permit with this condition on it. That's where you're at.
I'd make a motion that we approve the special use with the contingent on the firewall being installed. He's already pulled permits on that. That's scheduled. Good for 1 year. And then adhere to the other code that we have already on the books.
I would second that motion.
Motion by Walter Hayes, second by Ladon Allen, that we approve the special use permit by meeting the firewall codes and all the other codes that are already on the books. Is that good enough? No.
I'm the codes on the book
Yeah.
do not allow this use. I mean, that's why it's a special.
Oh, okay.
The nuisance
And-
codes.
And nobody seems interested in changing the zoning because it doesn't fit into that area.
I disagree a little bit with that. The last time this came up, P and Z had disapproved, and the conversation that we had was we could go forward and approve it over the objection of what P and Z gave us, or we could suggest a special use and we send it back specifically for that purpose.
It's a mixed use area already. I mean, you've got commercial directly across the street. There is an argument that it does fit for a rezoning because it is mixed use.
And the point that I made last time is we already have precedent within the city of having R2 mixed in with R1. West Briar Brook Drive is a perfect example of that, and a much newer development than where this is out on Cambridge.
That's true.
And when I was talking about the code, I wasn't talking about the zoning. I was talking about the nuisance code, because it seems like a lot of the complaints that they wanted to tie to this approval were actually nuisance issues, which I don't think it should hinge on whether grass is too high, because that's already covered.
I withdraw my comments.
Okay. So I got a motion and a second. Let's vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed, same sign. 3 opposed. It is passed. Special use permit passes. Any more unfinished business, LaDonna? Or David, do you have any more?
No, sir.
LaDonna? I have none.
None.
Rick?
No, sir.
Bob? Holly?
No, sir.
Mr. Charlie?
Just one quick observation. Very quick. I wasn't prepared at the last meeting for the discussion that occurred regarding the special road district tax. And I think the board should be apprised that this was a very hot subject for 2 to 3 years. I don't know who was here. Mr. Moss may have been here, and I was here. But the issue of should the city roads be improved with the road district's tax, and whether that was the special tax that we were supposed to have 25% applied, was a hot topic in Southwest Missouri. The city of Carl Junction, myself included, Jim Wisdom, the mayor, and Joe Barfield, the city administrator, and I met with various members in this area. Chuck Surface from the Jasper County Commission, David Moten, who was not a judge then, he was Carthage city attorney, Dean Dankelson, who was then prosecuting attorney, and I corresponded with the Attorney General's office, wrote opinions that preceded then Attorney General Nixon's opinion that was distributed to you, and some authorities he used and some he didn't, but the city of Carl Junction worked for that opinion from the Attorney General, and they did it in concert with the city of Carthage, and with the expectation that it would be honored once issued. After it was issued, there was a change of mind by the Jasper County Commission, and eventually, after many discussions and some meetings, Joe Barfield concluded on behalf of the city of Carl Junction that it was best to try to work with the special road district and to, rather than to commence legal action, which would be a mandamus action to compel them to distribute a certain part. And that's where it ended. And if Elena checked her minutes for July 2005, it was a memo that Joe Barfield submitted and is a matter of record here. And that was the city's position, has been the city's position. The Board of Aldermen at the time were very well apprised of what was happening. And I just thought, since you all have been brought into this, that you should be aware of that history. It's been dormant now as a debated issue for over 20 years. But it was a hot issue more than 20 years ago. So that's old business. I just wanted you to be aware.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So they decided to work with them rather than sue them, basically?
Basically, that working with them was preferable to litigating with them.
So what does that mean, work with them?
Try to get the district to help with our roads. And I don't know if any of those conversations, I wasn't part of those conversations, and I don't know how successful or lack of success was done. The special road district has spent money inside the city limits, have they not?
Joplin Special has,
Very little, correct?
I don't have, I can't quantify it. Carl Junction Special, I'm looking at Jay for guidance on that because I'm not sure that they ever have.
He's helped us pour concrete, various things like that.
So,
Joplin Special paid for about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, they did some ditch work last year on both sides of the road too.
And let me just say, the upshot was that not everybody agreed with the Attorney General Nixon's interpretation and the interpretation we were pushing. The issue was, did that 25% requirement apply to all the taxes that were collected in the city by the road district, or did it apply only to special taxes that were imposed with a vote of the people and could only last for a certain number of years? And that was the issue, and it remained the issue after the Attorney General's opinion. We liked the 25% requirement interpretation, but not everybody else did.
the people who were going to have to turn it over didn't like it.
Yes.
So at that time, when Joe Barfield did that, was that by a vote of the council?
Now, there was no vote at the council.
So
That was-
he
that
could
was
have
a-
been
That was
acting
a
on his own.
report to the council on what his recommendation was.
So that still didn't say you don't owe us. That just said, we're not going to sue you. We're going to work with you to get it, correct?
That's,
So we still should have been working with them to get that money.
Right.
And
I don't disagree with that, but that was the, it was, July 5, 2005. Memo 2, Carl Junction Special Road District. Joe summarized, I got to put my glasses on, sorry. Joe summarized the state statute that provides funding to the city from the road taxes collected from the special road districts. Carthage was going to sue, but they worked out an agreement. We have talked to the Carl Junction Special Road District, and they agreed to help the city with the Main Street project. Joe feels it's best to see if we can continue to build a working relationship rather than go to court. Those are in the minutes of July 5, 2005 on this issue. And the issue was the same, and it was after the Attorney General's opinion that we had lobbied for, frankly, and that was finally issued. But
that was just Carl Junction Special. So that wasn't Joplin Special anyhow. So they never even got and Joplin Special is the one that's sitting on $7.9 million that has that whole half where the roundabout and everything would have been. That they were going to help fund and then they pulled out on.
anyhow, I just thought the board ought to be apprised.
I think that the Main Street project was when we redid the sidewalks in front of the businesses on the west side of the road and redid. I think that's probably what it was.
Yep, that was after 2005. He helped us in that phase, we poured all that sidewalk, and that's what he helped us with. I do remember back when we added on to Walton Street and brought it from Cogle down to Joplin Street. He was in on that project a lot, running the road grader, getting the street to grade before we set it up for pavement. And that would have been about that time frame right in there.
I have not heard anything back at which they said it would take a little bit to see how far back we could even realistically go back and collect our portion. But we're talking tens of thousands of dollars a year. Like I said, it's probably 60 to 70,000 just last year alone, which I know that there was absolutely no record keeping done of what we were getting as far as value. So I guess we're going to have to get an answer to see how far back we could even go back and do it. There are ways we could determine what portion was collected from inside the city. And there's some people working on trying to make that easier so it would not be quite so time consuming and work intense on our part. But first of all, you've got a city administrator that far back that took action without a vote of the council to give up money voluntarily that belongs to the taxpayers against
No,
state
the
statute.
The decision was not to sue.
Right. So he didn't give up the money. He just said, we're not going to sue. So they should have still, through wisdom, through the next administration, through this administration, we should have been working to get our money's worth. And honestly, they're also checking, would we even have to sue? That's under statute and that's a taxing entity. Isn't that a regulatory?
And what I want you to understand is there's more than one interpretation of that language that looks so clear. One interpretation is that doesn't apply to the taxes that are in fact collected. It only applies to an additional tax that's authorized that we don't have in this county and don't have in this city. And that is on top of the tax that is regularly collected.
I would think, though, that is not the assumption that Joplin Special goes by, though, because they have an agreement with the city of Joplin to do their alley maintenance, because they have already admitted they fall under that statute. Because they're not doing it, I don't think, but there's been a longstanding agreement that rather than contribute so much monetary, they help maintain the alleyways. So if they've already admitted that they have that burden that they're supposed to meet, then, I understand what you're saying. There's different ways to interpret things. Just coincidentally, the people who are supposed to actually be paying are the ones that interpret it that they don't have to pay. I don't know. I don't think the decision was just that we didn't sue them, right? So I think we need to still see how far back we can collect and see what we can collect without having to sue and work something out. But I do know that Carthage collects.
Carthage works something out with them. I don't know the details of that.
They get the amount from the auditors and they call and say, hey, this is the amount we've come up to. Does this sound good to you? And then they say, this is a project. We're considering this project and it would be worth this dollar amount. And they work it out and they say, okay, that sounds fair to us. And we will complete this project.
I don't want to discourage that at all. I thought that's what we did, frankly.
But it just sounds like it hasn't happened at all. And I appreciate the work that they've done. And it sure sounds like Carl Junction Special has helped out at times. Joplin Special hasn't. But even then, helping pour concrete or helping clean out a couple of ditches or something over all of that time is not nearly what we would have been do.
So this was informational, that's all. So
I appreciate it. And hopefully maybe we can even get more information on it.
Any other unfinished business, Mr. Talley?
No.
Elena?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes, sir.
Steve?
Yes, sir.
Jay?
No, sir.
Chief Stever?
No, sir.
New business, Holly.
We've got a farmer's market coming to town. It opens April 24th. Hope to see y'all there. Thank you.
Bob? Rick?
No, sir. Nothing.
Roger, I have nothing. Donna?
No.
David?
No, sir.
Walter?
No, sir.
Kara?
No, sir.
Mr. Talley? No. Elena? Crystal?
Yes, sir.
So, oh, you're kidding.
I am not.
Jay?
He's gonna have a heart attack.
Hey, Steve?
No, sir.
Very well then. We'll move right along to a closed session for revised Missouri Statute 610-21-3, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employees discussed or recorded. I will need a motion to go into closed session, and this will be a roll call vote.
Motion to go into
We're
closed
going
session.
closed session.
Motion by Carol Wolford, second by Hyla Dean to go into closed session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Hyla Dean.
Yes.
Bob Mack.
Yes.
Rick Flynn.
Yes.
Roger Spencer.
Yes.
Donna Allen.
Yes.
David File.
Yes.
Walt Hayes.
Yes.
Carol Wolf.
Yes.
We're now in closed session. We will be back as soon as closed session is over. We will be doing this in the conference room. Now back in open session. We had a closed session for revised Missouri statute 61021, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employees discussed or recorded. There was discussion, but there was no vote or action taken during that meeting. Now, is there any other business before the council?
Make a motion, we adjourn. Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, motion, second by Walter. Is that you, Walter? No. By David Pyle. All those in favor signify by Rick Kay. We got 8 in the affirmative. We are adjourned. Thank everyone for staying.